Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast.
Good evening. I'd like to call the City of Madison Board of Education meeting for March 9th to order, please. If we'll rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag to the republic. Thank you so much. Ms. King, roll call, please. Here.
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 Here. Here.
Excellent. Board, if you'll take a moment, review the agenda. I need a motion and a second to proceed.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Lessman and a second by Mr. Newberry. All those in favor of the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Agenda passes. Dr. Nichols, presentations, please.
Mr. President, members of the board, I'm going to welcome back Dr. Kerry Donaldson. He's got some folks with him from James Clemens High School that he would like to bring forward that received some awards recently in Orlando, Florida. Dr. Donaldson? Doing great.
How you doing, Mr. So I just want to congratulate our competition cheer team. Hey, if you want me to, I can sing to you. Would you like that?
Not tonight.
Not tonight. No, sir. All right. So I'm not going to say much. It's just it's been an honor to be a servant leader to all of these fine student athletes. So thank you for allowing me the opportunity to serve you. And it's truly been an honor. So if you don't mind, can you come on down?
And I think Ms. Stockman's going to tell us what all they won. Is she going to tell us that all the accolades here?
Coach Stockton.
Somebody is. I don't know how you wear.
Come on,
How do you wear 3 jackets at one time? Is what I want to know. Yeah.
Just a little bling, you know, just a little. I don't wear them very often. Yeah. Mr. Terrell was just complimenting me on my rings. I never wear them because they're so heavy, but we're getting 3 more, so I'm going to have to switch and use some on the other hand. Thank y'all for allowing us to come back. I know me and Blake were talking, Coach Blake, and we said, we got to bring up the fact that I said, I hope we see you again in March because we hope to do good things in February, and here we are. So round of applause. Thank you. I usually come up and thank parents, thank the girls, but I don't really talk too much about the sport because it's so complex and a lot of people, it's hard to follow. But we were outside and we decided to write down some of the stats from nationals and just kind of how things went down so you can see how competitive it was and how hard we worked and how we were able to bring home what we brought home. So that's what I'm going to do. And we don't usually do that. So this will be a little different than just the thanks and get the certificates. But we won 3 different national championships. So actually one of them was a world championship. So at nationals, we were wearing 3 of these jackets, and thankfully the day we won, it was really cold. So it was convenient because the other days it was about 85 degrees. But one of the divisions that we won in was game day, which we have won at state before and actually didn't this year. So we had to come back after Christmas break, make a lot of changes and practice really hard in that. And we competed against 26 teams total in our division. There were 3 different rounds, prelims, semifinals, and finals. And we were down by 2 points, which in cheer is like a mile, or minutes in a marathon, or I don't even know what a marathon is. Don't ask me about that. But it's a lot to come back from, especially in a division like game day, because it's so particular and the top 5 teams are within less than a point of each other. And so we were like, well, we're going to go and do our best and have a lot of fun and hope that we're good in these other things, because how are we going to come up 2 points from this? So we advanced to semis, and in semis, there were 2 teams that didn't have to go because out of prelims, there were 2 teams that scored the highest, so they didn't have to go to semis, and we weren't one of those. But we were in first place coming out of semis, which was a big step up, and we were very proud of ourselves. And we were like, hey, we made some improvements. Let's go see if we can do it a 3rd time, and maybe 3rd time's a charm. And we were really happy with our performance. And we told them that, we're going to be happy with whatever we get because we can't promise that it was the best. And we didn't know how it was going to turn out. And that was probably the most shocking win I think that we've ever had. And it was the most special win because we had no clue that that was about to happen. And it just goes to show that practice makes perfect. And that's all you got to do for something like that. And so that was super awesome. And so that was game day and we won that and that was fantastic. And then we also competed in small varsity, and that was our other national win. And there were 117 teams in our division, very, very competitive. When they were announcing for finals, they said it was probably the teams that were the hardest routines out of any division, just the stuff that was put in them and how intricate they are and how hard they are. And we hit perfect all 3 times we competed. We got to skip 1 round of semis, and there were 2 rounds of semis. That's how many teams they had to filter through. In the first round of prelims, we scored the highest out of all 6 groups, which was amazing. But, you know, not everyone does great the first time. So we had to make for sure we were better the next time because someone might have fallen and that's why they weren't in first. We skipped the first round of semis due to our score in prelims. And so we had to do second semis on Sunday morning and then do finals on, the rest of the rounds, plural, on Sunday. In second semis, we were in first again out of 4. And then in finals, we were a part of the top 7 teams who had perfect scores in terms of no deductions. So there wasn't any mistakes, which is really, really hard to do, period. But being in finals, that's whenever sometimes maybe the pressure gets the best of you or you hope it's perfect and then something happens. And there were 7 teams in the top finals that were perfect. And we were in that as well. And we won by 0.5, which, like I said, in cheer, that's a lot. And so we were very, very proud of that because we knew how close it was going to be with all of the teams in our division. And so that was a huge accomplishment for us because we knew that we had potential, but for them to see that come to fruition and to know that not only did we have the skills to win, but we did them the best out of anybody too, was a very big accomplishment for how many talented athletes are in that division. And it being 117 teams, that's thousands of athletes. So we're just super, super proud. And then we also won Worlds as well. And I don't think many of them have that jacket on, but that's a nice one to wear as well, because that's a nice title to have too. But just can't stress enough how proud that we are of every single one that's up here, and the hard work had to come from every single person up here. It came from parents, it came from carpool drivers, it came from the gym that we practice at, it came from sweaty gym practices at school and hot summer mornings and burn workouts with Dr. Nichols and all of it. Yes. that workout was really what got our motivation going. But it was truly such an honor to watch the growth of this year with this program, and we're excited to do it again next year. So thank y'all so much, parents, board, girls. Thank y'all so much.
Ladies, look right here. I just want you to know how proud I am of you. I knew this summer when a little birdie told me that you were working out early one morning, and they were so shocked that this old guy would show up and that he survived. I had to push a few of you. I wasn't worried. I was well worried some of you were going to make it through the workout. But I knew you were dedicated to what you wanted to accomplish this year. And I didn't get to go this year, but I was there a few years ago, and I've watched the board. I can't tell you how many thousands of athletes are in those gyms from across the country, and the talent that's there and the competitiveness that's there. And to come back with a white jacket national champ in one area, just one, is fantastic. But to have 3, that's incredible. And I just want you to know how proud I am of each of you and what you've done. And I promise you that in the cheerleading world, they know your name.
That's right.
They know your name because you carried home the jackets that a lot of them thought they might get, but they're all on county line, and they're all at James Clemens, and you are to be congratulated. And anybody that ever tells you that cheerleading's not a sport, you tell them to call me. I'll take them to a burn workout. But I don't think they can do that either. So, congratulations. It's extremely proud of each of you young ladies. And I'm also proud, Coach, of how they carry themselves around their school, what they do around this community. They're champions not only on the mat, but they're champions in the hallways and other places. And that's truly something great to be proud of. And thank you to your parents. I know there's a lot of hours of gym driving and carrying to practices. And I just very proud of you. Congratulations.
Coach, how many seniors do you have on the
I was
team?
wondering that too.
9.
9.
Oh yeah,
And
biggest
what
senior class that
awesome
James
senior
Clemens ever
year.
had of cheerleaders.
Wow.
I forgot my ring tonight. I was going to wear my
Yeah, Dr. Nichols has a jacket and a ring from 2 years ago. Yeah.
Next time, I'm going to wear it tomorrow.
There you go.
All day.
There you
In
go.
honor of all of you. And then I'm going to order my new one.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So she had like 7 rings or something last time. and She showed it to us.
She looks like Nick Saban back there.
Well, and Coach, I am so glad that you explained some of that because, I don't think a lot of people realize that, like with the game day and that, you were whatever, 2 points. That is huge.
Right.
And that just gives encouragement for, years to come. Hey, look, I had this team in 2023 and, they came back and they won first. And then with the small varsity, 117 teams, 117 teams. And you guys got first place. And you're right, too, because a lot of times first and second is like half a point, like less than that. And so 0.5, that is huge. You guys are, I'm in awe. I'm so amazed. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Mr. Peck, are you going to try to take a picture of this group? Outside, okay.
Let's file.
All right. They
Coach.
got a banquet to go
Coach.
to as well, I think.
They got a back. Coach, can you walk through your ring so we can see them on the
I
before
sure
you head
can.
out?
I'll do a little trail of rings for you.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
You got them all? Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. That's huge.
Certificates.
Oh, there you go.
I'll give it to
It's one for the team. There you go.
Dr. Nichols, now for our main presentation of the night.
Mr. Smalley, Mr. Smalley,
Hard act to
good luck. Mr. President, members of the board, we have Mr. Smalley here to give us the audit report. If you, just good luck, Mr. Smalley.
Thank you, Dr. Nichols.
You're welcome.
Mr. President, members of the board, we have completed the audit of your financial statements for the year ended September 30th, 2022. We provide you with the results of our report in the binder. I want to tell you that you have received in the academic vernacular a grade letter A on the audit of your financial statements. We call this, in the auditor's terminology, the unmodified report, which is our best report. We congratulate you on accomplishing that. It's a lot of work on the part of your finance department to make great things like that happen, and they've done a good job working for you, and it was a pleasure working with them. In addition to the audit and financial statements, because you received federal funds, we did additional work regarding internal control and compliance, and I'm happy to also report to you that as a result of our work, we found no deficiencies in internal control and no non-compliance as a result of that. Again, we call that our best report, grade letter A, or good job, as someone would say in your work. If you have any questions regarding our reports or our work, I'll be glad to address those now.
For the public to know, Mr. Smalley addressed the board during our finance committee meeting, and we were able to do questions and answers then. Board, if you have any follow-ups or anything that you'd like to say now.
We appreciate the opportunity to work with the Madison City Schools. Y'all have a lot to be proud of. That's exemplified by these great students before you and their accomplishments, but you're doing that academically and financially. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smalley.
Dr. Nichols, any further presentations?
No, sir, Mr. President.
Well, all right, with no more presentations,
Doctor, just wondering, do we have Boy Scout, Girl Scout?
I think they're just.
Oh, okay.
with no further presentations, we'll move into the time of public comments. If you have registered for public comments. Yes, ma'am. No one has registered tonight for public comments, so we will move right past public comments, and that will land us with business actions. Dr. Nichols.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend for approval the consent agenda. It contains several items. A, minutes 23-24, February 23rd, 2023. B, field trip for Discovery Middle School Scholars Bowl members to attend the Scholars Bowl National Championships in Chicago in May 12th through the 15th. Field trip request C for the Discovery Middle School civic students to visit historical sites in Washington, April 28th through April the 30th. D, field trip request for James Clemens High School Winter Guard to attend a competition in Bowling Green, Kentucky, March 31st. E, a field trip for Bob Jones High and James Clemens High students to participate in a robotics competition, Tallahassee, Florida, March 23rd to the 26th. F, disposal and sale of 4 refrigerators at Bob Jones in the culinary section on govdeals.com. G, disposal James Clemens of a washer and 4 microwaves over 10 years old and inoperative. H, summer chess camp at Journey Middle School, June 26th through the 30th. And I, bid 2023-07. This is custodial equipment. One responsive bidder for floor scrubbers and floor sweepers. And J, the summer elementary camps to be held at Heritage Midtown and Mill Creek, June 1 through July of 2023.
Thank you, Dr. Nichols. Board, Dr. Nichols recommends approval of the consent agenda items that he has listed, A through J. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Overcash and a second by Ms. Lessman. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? The consent agenda passes. Dr. Nichols.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend for approval resolution number 23-02 authorizing purchases of goods and services through cooperatives approved by the Alabama Examiners of Public Accountants.
Board, the superintendent recommends approval of resolution 23-02. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Newberry and a second by Mr. Cummings. Discussion?
Mr. President, members of the board, this is a renewal of our resolution to use the cooperative established by the state. All of these organizations are looked at and evaluated by the state and placed on the cooperative list. Thereby, they have been bid out through the state system and are eligible to be used by government agencies. This is a renewal with the updating of the agencies that have been presented by the Board of Public Accountants.
Anything further, board? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion passes. Dr. Nichols.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend for approval resolution number 23-03, a resolution authorizing the issuance, sale, delivery, and payment of $58,325,000 principal amount on a special tax school warrant series 2023.
Board, the superintendent recommends approval of resolution 23-03. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Overcash and a second by Mr. Cummings. Discussion?
Mr. President, members of the board, very proud of our financial department, and especially want to thank Ms. Williams and Ms. Gray on the work that they did as we went to the bond market, and the work of our bond counsel, Johnny Deal, also the work of Mr. Sanderson and others that helped, Lee Burchell and others. We had a tremendous increase in the bond world, like cheerleading, kind of those small numbers. We went from AA- to a AA under the S&P and held our rating of an AA3, which are the highest ratings you can get from the bonding agencies. We had a great sale. In fact, the reason it's we're actually getting $60 million but we're actually are bonding and getting $58,325,000 because of the rating that we had and received from the bond agencies and the timeliness and those things of the sale. We got a discount. So we're actually, that was in our favor. And so I'm just very proud of our team that put together the financials to present to the agencies and then also the work on the sale. And so this will help us to secure the funds and continue the process of our elementary school that we purchased land off of County Line in Hardeman, and also to look at expansion of the other elementary school Horizon to meet the demand that we're going to have over the next 7 years with houses and those things. And also we're going to begin that process of looking at the expansion of our high schools to meet that growth and at the end of the 7 years. So just really can't say enough about Ms. Williams and Ms. Gray and what they did, and very proud of the work that they did getting this ready.
Any further discussion, board? Again, we went over this in the finance committee meeting, and I'd like to, and I know the board will join me in thanks again to the finance department for working through this and just the exemplary job that you've done for this district. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion passes. Dr. Nichols.
I'd ask Ms. Williams to come forth this time and present the board the financial and bank reconciliation statements for January 2023.
Good evening, Dr. Nichols and board. This is the January 2023 financial statements. We should be at 33%. Currently, our revenues are at 46% and our expenditures are at 29%.
Mr. President, I recommend for approval the January 2023 financial and bank reconciliation statements for Madison City Schools.
Board, the superintendent recommends approval of the January 2023 financial and bank reconciliation statements. Can I have a motion and a second?
So move.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Cummings and a second by Mr. Overcash. Discussion? No discussion. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion passes. Dr. Nichols.
I'm going to ask Ms. Williams at this time to present the budget amendment for January 2023.
Okay, we had the only changes that were done to the January 2023 amendment was a change of an increase of $5 million, and that was just to our fund balance.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend for approval the January 2023 budget amendment as presented by Ms. Williams.
Board, the superintendent recommends approval of the January 2023 budget amendment. Can I have a motion and a second?
So move.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Cummings, a second by Mr. Overcash. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. That will move us to personnel actions. Dr. Nichols.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend for approval the list of substitutes as presented for Madison City Schools.
Board, the superintendent recommends approval of the list of substitutes that you have before you. These will be added to the running substitute list. Can these be taken as a group? With the group fine? I didn't ask for a motion. Can I have a motion in a second?
So move.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Lessman and a second by Mr. Newberry. Any discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Substitute list passed. Dr. Nichols.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend for approval the supplemental contracts for work to be performed for Madison City Schools.
Board, the superintendent recommends approval of the supplemental contracts you have before you. Can these be taken as a group? Group being fine, can I have a motion and a second?
So move.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Lessman, second by Mr. Newberry. Any discussion?
These are pretty standard for this time of the year. The couple of summer counselors, we do have some extended custodial services. We actually have hired a couple of students who were interested in after school hours to work. and utilizing them because the board knows, which Mr. Jones can tell us, still a challenge to find full-time staff. And so we have some young folks who were willing to work and wanted to work. They could work anywhere. I mean, they get a job and could work at McDonald's if they wanted to. So we were glad to have them work and pay them, and they're helping us as well.
Nothing further. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion passes. Dr. Nichols, personnel actions.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend to you the remainder of the personnel recommendations that do with extended leaves, job-related injuries, employments, retirements, and resignations and transfers.
Board, the superintendent recommends approval of the personnel actions you have before you. Can these be taken as a group? The group being fine, can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Newberry, second by Ms. Lessman. Discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion passes. Dr. Nichols, are there any personnel actions that you'd like to call attention to?
Yes, sir, Mr. President. On the retirement section, we have, as you know, this time of the year, we begin to see those on there. And we had Ms. Marsha Humphrey, who has been dedicated educator for 31 years, taught in Madison for 23 of those, kindergarten, second, third, fifth grade, and also has coached the high school archery team. So she will be very missed at Columbia. She's excited to do what happens to a lot of folks that want to spend time with grandbabies. And so she's looking forward to doing that. At Midtown, we have Bonnie Chandler, who has served as the bookkeeper, both at West Madison and now at Midtown. And she's been with the school district for 19 years. She worked as an aide at Columbia, and Bonnie has been dedicated to the school, and it was advantageous as we moved from the former West Madison to where, and she plans to move to Auburn, and guess what? She wants to be closer to her grandchildren. So there's a theme here. There's a theme here. And then Rosalind Priester has been special education teacher for 41 years, been for 9 years at James Clemens, works and goes beyond the call of duty to work with kids, and just she advocates for her kids even post-graduation as they help to look at college and careers. And so we wish each of these the best in retirement. We hope that their retirement is as beneficial as their service has been to the young people in this community.
Thank you, Dr. Nichols. There's no further actions. Then we will move into superintendent comments.
Well, I have several, but I'll try to be quick. First of all, I just want to say thank you again to Ms. Williams and Ms. Gray and the work they did, not only on our bond work, but our audit. And I want to thank all of our staff, our bookkeepers, our staff at the local school. You know, there's a lot of things that go on, purchase orders and fundraisers, and a lot of work and paperwork. And so I just want to thank all of them for what they do, and appreciate their dedication to getting it done the right way. And very proud of our bond rating and what we did. I also want to thank our community. One of the reasons that we were able to be so strong in the market and to have good financial is the support of our community and the success of our community. And our 12 mil just a few years ago helped us to do that. But also the growth of our community, the business growth, and all of those played a significant part when we were speaking to those folks at the bond market. They were very aware of the Madison area. They were very aware of the growth of this community. And it's not just the city of Madison, it's our area. You know, it's the Madison-Huntsville area. It's that region where we see that growth. And so they were very familiar with what was going on, and that goes a long way when you're having those conversations. I also want to say that part of that audit report, I wrote this down, and part of our bond was how we handle our budget. And I applaud Ms. Williams and Ms. Gray and our staff for their daily budgeting. You know, they keep up to date with the line items and expenditures and budgets and balances, not on a monthly basis. That's what they report to you, but they keep that going daily about where we are in our budget and how we do that. I want to commend our bands and choirs. They all just went through the music performance assessments. I got to hear many of those groups, not all of them. We're very blessed to have outstanding band and chorus teachers across our district, and very proud of the assessments that they got as well. We're in that staffing and budgeting time, so I'll give Dr. Jaw thank you. I know that Dr. Jaw has a job fair set for March 28th and April the 20th, and our folks are already interviewing. We're already posting jobs and looking for our staffing, and Dr. Jaw and Mr. Terrell and Dr. Donaldson and Dr. Zinkel have been working with the transition of creating the Journey staff and all that's going on there, and so I certainly appreciate the work that's going on both in our finance and our HR departments. They work well together. That's one of the reasons we can be successful, is that there's no silos and they work together, and so I applaud them. We also had a great time last week. Had a great James Clemens basketball game where we competed with the developmental team from Austin High. There's a video out there that says the superintendent danced. I don't know if it's true or not, but it looked like it was him. He tried to get the assistant superintendent, but he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. I don't know what's wrong with that, but the whole student body came out and cheered, not just for the James Clemens team, but for the Austin team too. Every time those kids made baskets, people cheered. And it was just a great day. And I thank Dr. Donaldson, Kerry Donaldson, for getting the kids out there and getting them to do that. I will say that I'd like some cheering. On April the 15th, I will be playing in the charity softball game for the Enrichment Center to help raise funds for our counselors that work with us from the Enrichment Center. Jamie Golliver is going to play, and our coach is Coach Chambers. So we don't worry, we've gotten some real players on the team too. So they did ask me what position I played, Mr. President, and I told them bench. And so we're looking forward to being part of that. And Bob's here. I thank you. Bob's here. Bob's part of our key communicator group, and we have about 34 across the Huntsville, Madison area that meet a few times of the year to get updates on what we're doing. Had a great Liberty Art Show that we had the other night, and the PTA Reflections. Mr. Terrell was there for that, and many of our students not only had reflection winners within the district, but we also had state visual arts winners. Ms. Lessman may say something about that. She was down there in Montgomery, I think, and saw where our state winners were posted on that. And many winners and hosts will be in this week's newsletter that go out, both James Clemens and Bob Jones. And we also, this Sunday, will have a science challenge fair put on by Bob Jones High School for 3rd through 5th graders. And so that'll be a fun time. Today's podcast, by the way, was about pre-K. And we talked to Nicole and one of our teachers, Lisa, about what pre-K means and what's going on in our district. And I appreciate Mr. Peck for making sure that information gets out, and for Rachel and Russell, who created and keep the podcast going. And I would like to applaud them that they spoke yesterday at the State Superintendent's Conference on our technology integration program. And you know, they were a highlight of the morning, trust me, because we had budget chairs and retirement system, but they don't only a highlight, they knocked a home run and talked about the work that we're doing to recoup the investment that we've made on our computer systems and technology, and utilizing that truly as an instructional tool to enhance what we do. And so I appreciate what they do and the work that they're doing. And Mr. Payon, again, it takes both sides of that house. It takes that technical side of the switches and the routers and those, and it takes the instructional side. And they do a fantastic job, and I'm very proud of them. And I also want to say thank you to our SRO tonight. Officer Byring is here. She serves throughout the district and for us, and appreciate your commitment to our students and those that you represent. And she works on the west side, so you'll see her in many places. So thank you, Austin, for what you do, and for our police and our SROs. And we serve currently, I will finish with this, we're part of that process. Our fire department and our police department have accreditations, and they're going through those accreditations. And we serve on that. They reach out to Mr. Terrell and Mr. Jones and myself and others to help give valuable input. And You know, that to me is a great partnership that we have with our first responders. And one of the things that we're going to try to do in the fall is have a breakfast and bring our first responders in. Bring the captains and the line officers of each of those and have a breakfast, because we hope we never have that crisis. You know, we look at the train wreck that was up north. Trains run through Madison, Alabama every day. We hope that never happens. But we want to make sure that if that occurs, if something tragic occurs, that we know who to respond and we know them face to face, and there's a camaraderie there to handle those situations. And we've done a little bit of that this year. I applaud our fire chief and our police chief. They are very proactive in working on that and working with us. And we're going to continue to do that in the future as we work on making sure that that communication is the best that it can be. We've also got some safety upgrades we're working on that I'll come back to you on after spring break and talk about that Dr. West, Mr. Terrell, Mr. Jones, Mr. Gunner are working with, that we're looking forward to putting those in place. So certainly appreciate our team and what they're doing all the time. We will take a break next week. I have told the team they need to all go take a break. They need to walk away and get some rest, spend some time with their families, and enjoy a spring break. So I certainly appreciate them for all that they do. And finally, I just want to thank Ms. King. You know, I don't think we thank Ms. King enough, and I knew that she'd be mad when I did it. That's why I did it. Because now it's one of the few moments she can't say anything to me. I'll get it later. I know. But, you know, Ms. King is the best. And she takes care of all of us. And I certainly appreciate all that she does every day in helping the system and helping parents and whoever she needs to and around this building. She is the thermometer and the thermostat in our building. So she knows how to do all of that. So, you know, I love you. All right.
Thank you, Dr. Nichols. Move into board comments. Mr. Overcash.
Nothing this evening, sir.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Newberry.
Just a few things. Congrats to the JC cheerleaders. I saw the hardware. That was those hands look very heavy. You know, we say this a lot, but thank you to our finance team, both on the bond issue and everything that went with that, but also it was okay. We say we appreciate you and you guys do a great job a lot, but what happened tonight is someone else came in and said you guys do a really great job, and so thank you for that. I know audits are harrowing probably, and to come through with an A or a good job, I guess to get an auditor to say good job is an accomplishment. So thank you. Let's see. Then other than that, I'm looking forward to spring break. I'll be going down to the beach. Everybody who is traveling, please be safe. And that's all I've got.
Thank you, Mr. Newberry. Ms. Lessman.
Just want to reiterate, outstanding job, Miss Williams, Miss Gray, and your team. We really appreciate you. Can't say it enough. And again, congratulations to James Clemens. That was just huge, all those jackets. And like Dr. Nichols mentioned regarding the visual arts exhibit, I was in Montgomery and got to find some of the Madison City School art exhibited there at the Capitol. And so I grabbed two of them and took a picture and texted it to him. So I was really proud of our students. It was really nice. Also talking about staffing and Dr. Jaw, be on the lookout for scheduling for next year. Your child at your school, you should have some information coming home, or if you haven't already, go ahead and get your schedules ready for next year so they can figure out how many teachers they need for what classes. That's very important. And other than that, have a wonderful spring break. I hope everyone gets to relax some. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lessman. Mr. Cummings.
Another great night. I was gonna say no comments tonight, and I just can't hold myself.
Be like,
I mean, from the cheerleaders. I mean, when you got repeat jackets and gold rings. I mean, this system is just incredible. From academics to cheerleading / sports, we know they athletes. I mean, this is just a phenomenal system. Thank you, finance team. Thank you, Ms. King. And since you're already going to get Dr. Nichols, I might as well go and put that out there as well again. But this system is made up of so many greatness all over this system that's scattered out. And it's we got a great academic program, a great instructional program, great athletes, great programs that's for all students. I mean, this is just a phenomenal system. And again, I meant to say no comments, but thank you. And hope everyone enjoyed their spring break.
Thank you, Cummings. I would just like to wish a long and healthy retirements to those teachers that are saying goodbye to the district, and hope they really enjoy helping spoil those grandbabies and anything else that retirement will bring them. They've earned it, and just wish them just the best. I would like to ask. So we talked a lot about the bond rating and the bond issue and the purpose of those funds. Can you share what you think the timeline on the Limestone County Elementary School would be? I know we're in the early phases with architects and whatnot now, and do you have penciled in dates for when there might be a groundbreaking or at least bids and whatnot?
Well, I know we have a long meeting tomorrow with Mr. Nola to discuss and create a timeline. Mm-hmm. I'd like for us to be able to get that design and maybe get the bids out in the fall. I would hesitate to tell you how long I think it would take to build it
sure.
now.
No. I'm not asking you.
Used to, it was 18 months, but.
You say you could build an elementary school in a year.
Well, yes. But I would, we hopefully in the fall of 25, this next year will be 23, 24. Maybe 24, 25, I'd be pushing it, but, by the fall of 25. But we'll know more tomorrow, and we'll have a timeline as we look at that, because I think we're in a better place now. We've been challenged the last 18 to 24 months across the state as I talk to other superintendents and as bond bids are put out, that there has been challenge to get enough people to put in bids for work due to the work that maybe was there. And so your cost factor was inflated. And a lot of that also had to do with inflation and the cost of other things and materials. And we're hopefully seeing some of that decline a little bit, and maybe get a better cost when we do bid. So we want to be ready to put it out at the best time possible. I know that, in anticipation, Mr. Nola has already started kind of putting the big blocks together and how it might look, but, to get down into the actual electricals and all of that, that's still probably a lot of work to be done. But next meeting, I should have a better timeline.
All right. Well, sorry to put you on the spot.
No. We think about it all the time. We're seeing that increase of students still, and looking at what's been already approved in the city, and watching that grow out over 7 years. I predicted, looking at those numbers before anything had been approved after December of 2001, that from 7 to 10 years out, we'll be at 15,000 students. We'll be knocking on the door of 15,000 students. And today we're, knocking on the door of 13,000. And, you go back 25 years and look at that, we were at 5,200 when we started. We got to be ready. And so, that's one reason we've kind of I would have told you 18 months ago, we probably weren't thinking about an 8th elementary school quite on the timeline. But, that's something we've got to look at, and all that depends too upon the growth we see not only in our own city limits but in Triana. That the last 18 months has seen some tremendous growth there. Now, I will say that they're kind of watching that as well now because of the infrastructure. But we've also got to watch and see what we can handle if the city decides to expand anymore.
Right.
And so, a good example of that is the improvement of Oakland Springs at one time was mainly residential homes. But then there was a redesign after the approval, and a large subsection of apartments are out there now. And so next board meeting, I can give you an update on that. We're working on those numbers right now. We wanted to make sure that we had an accurate list of all of those complexes. And Dorinda White and our team, Mr. Jones and all of us, will have it down to the percentages per house and rooftop and apartment, because we want to look at that as well. As it relates to that, before we even get the elementary school finished, we may have to do some small adjustment to our elementary zoning due to where we've seen some significant growth just in the past 18 or 24 months. So you hadn't put me on the spot because we're constantly doing it, but we'll have a little more definitive number on that probably after spring break.
Thank you for sharing that. And that is true. So there have been many sections that were already platted, so to speak, and planned for, and those some have changed from somewhat low density to higher density, and you've all seen throughout North Alabama the large influx of apartments and condominiums and much more high density properties that they offer a different feel to the community, but they are burdening to a school system, and so that is a risk. I know the city council has pressure on them to consider other high density properties, and so we just, as I've said before, we have a great relationship with the city, and I intend that to continue, but that is something to keep an eye on for further. Annexations that may not be our traditional kind of Madison neighborhoods, that they have, I know, pressure on them to approve other high density areas that we just all need to keep an eye on, because that will shift student population much more rapidly than anything else.
Well, and we are going to have to look at an expansion of both high schools, and people ask me all the time about, will we build a third high school? Well, the challenge of that is, first of all, you need 100 acres. On the Limestone County side, which there's really not 100 acres. And second of all, James Clemens, you probably pay double to build that school again. You're looking at $100 to $140 million from the ground up, with all the ball fields and everything you need for a third high school. And at the same time, there's a certain amount of money that we need to reinvest a little bit more into Bob Jones. Some of their facilities to make them equal to what we have. And then we also need those monies to come back. Now that we don't have 1,400 kids crammed into Discovery and Liberty, there's some delayed maintenance and upkeep that we need to do at those schools. And so, there's only a certain amount there. And so I will say that, I appreciate our team as we look at all that to try to get the most for our dollar as we look down the road 5 and 7 years, not only at what we have to do to build capacity, but also to upgrade, the facilities that we have that are beginning to show their age and need an upgrade. Absolutely. And so I'm looking forward to doing some of that maintenance work as much as I am a new building, because it's been long overdue, but it was that way. It's hard to move 1,400 kids around in a middle school and redo sections of the school and upgrade them, because you can't do it all in June and July. It just doesn't work. And now that we have a little wiggle room and space, we're able to go back in. And I know Mr. Jones and Mr. Gunner, and they're working with Mr. Hill and Mr. Brown to look at those types of things. And it even involves equipment. You asked quick question, and now I got a long answer. But we've bid out $250,000 worth of new band instruments for Journey Middle School. We've got band instruments at other middle schools that need to be upgraded. That we've gotten great service out of them. I played one of those tubas at Discovery one night, and I think that it might have been the one I played in high school. I don't know. It was pretty old. And so, we don't want to just concentrate on that and not keep those other areas in mind. And so we're working with our staff to do that as well. And so all of that goes into that one area and what we can afford and how we balance all that.
Thank you, Dr. Nichols. I will have no further questions.
I'm sorry.
Are you sure?
I get really excited, though, about what we're doing.
No, I do thank you for sharing. Our next board meeting will be after spring break on March 23rd, 2023 at 5 p.m. here in the boardroom. And I wish everyone a relaxing, stress-free spring break. With that, I'll ask for a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Lessman and a second by Mr. Newberry. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? We are adjourned.